As a bit of an addendum to yesterday's video covering the 150% price hike and the subsequent review bombing of Total War Warhammer DLC, we're going to have a look at a very excellent Reddit post here explaining yet again why the whole "oh, but costs are up" excuse doesn't really hold water at all for, well, amongst other things, the reasons I mentioned yesterday and yet further reasons as well. And let's jump right to the piece de resistance, shall we? So this is from Sega's financial results here. So Sega, the master of Total War, the owners of Creative Assembly, said, looking ahead at the business environment, although we have to pay attention to increasing development cost, due to the effect of rising prices and greater mobility of developers, as well as longer development periods, these factors are not currently having a major impact on results. From the beast's mouth itself, we have higher costs is undercut by their parent company's statement that this is not having a major impact on result. Creative Assembly, you are lying pigs. And there is simply no way around it. Unless you've been lying to your parent company, that is. Unless you've been telling Sega that you have no problems with increasing costs. In which case you have a lot more problem than an angry player base, but oh well, details, isn't it? So, we're going to cover this immediately now. Normally I'd wait until Monday, but here's the thing. Creative Assembly has a long and proud history of crushing criticism, of deleting threads, and threatening fan Reddits unless they toe the line. With Rome Total War 2, for example, they outright deleted entire threads on their official forum saying, hey, the game runs like shit and has a bunch of bugs. Like, oh, don't complain. The game works for the majority of people, CA spokesperson says. They even went out of their way to threaten fan Reddits during Total War 3 Kingdoms. The fan Reddit was running a poll showing off a mod with sexy Chinese waifus in it and asking people to vote which sexy waifu is your favorite in 3 Kingdoms. This thread was shut down on the orders of a certain CA mod whom we can't talk about anymore because it's personal harassment, according to Creative Assembly, when one of their people shits the bed. That they needed to stop having these mods on their site, otherwise Creative Assembly would have to pull public support, as they couldn't be associated with a sexist website like that. CA is a shit company, need I say more? I said it plenty yesterday, I'll probably say it plenty today as well. They're simply really terrible people. Easy as. Okay, so he points out that there is a video game tax relief thing in England, even though CA is of course a European company, as I like to repeat, where they can get up to 20% or now up to 34 to 80% of their qualifying core expenditure in producing a game DLC. So CA is already getting a lot of governmental support for the production of their games and their DLC, and this probably then comes in addition to governmental grants granted to them as the tiny startup company they are. Again, I repeat, CA is a terrible company. There's also this thing here. Okay, so the leading theory of this guy is, in essence, that they are increasing the cost of DLC for Total War Warhammer because it is a successful product, and they are using this to cover the increased expenditure on their other game, Hyenas. Work in progress for content production expenses are increasing, but can you tell us whether this trend will continue even though some major titles will be released in the future? In this fiscal year, these expenses are expected to temporarily decline due to the launch of Hyenas, a major title. If the release of Hyenas is going to decrease development costs compared to previous years, it clearly must be eating a lot of CA's resources, which it probably is. Therefore, it might very well be that CA's production costs have gone up, but it's because they've invested in growing the business and have failed to realize the investment. As explained in yesterday's, the actual costs for making DLC are unlikely to have increased much at all, if indeed not gone down with the increased tax sharing scheme. We're essentially subsidizing their poor performance. This is the point I brought up as well. CA is like, oh, costs are up. Yeah, you've hired 800 people, and you're producing dick with those 800 people. And let's have a look at Hyenas, shall we? Because many of you probably have no idea what this is. Nobody does. Nobody's ever heard of this goddamn title, as CA isn't marketing it at all, and for a very good reason as well, which we'll get to in a second. Sega admits Creative Assembly's Hyenas is a challenging title striving to improve quality. A translation from corporate speech, it's garbage, and we can already tell it's garbage, but we put a lot of money into it. So this is Hyenas. It is a 3 teams versus extraction shooter. So there's 3 teams trying to get, and I fuck you not, pop cultural memorabilia. Yeah. But just to hamp on this point, let's go down to the character selection here. Prima. Galaxia. That's an interesting design, isn't it? Where do they have this one? This, incidentally, is supposed to be a man, apparently, as Hyena devs have been working and have been working with drag queens on Galaxia. Hyena's product director Alex Honitet tells the Loadout the developer Creative Assembly took tips from the dragger community when creating Galaxia. And, I mean, I was hoping that would blow up more, but I can see it. I can absolutely see it. The character design is... he's wearing an Oculus Rift on his head. One semi-normal person. This... which one is worse? This one or this one? I'm not entirely certain myself, honestly. Yeah, I can see this eating up a lot of resources, and I can see why nobody seems to be interested in this in the slightest. And right now as well. Okay, not only is this extraction shooter going to go up against a lot of major established brands already in the genre and the industry, but this is going to come out during a time when Bud Light is getting raked over the coals for the collaboration with Dylan Volmany, where Target, one of the largest retail stores in the world, is seeing a 15% decline in sales over selling Pride products in the children's section. Are you sure, CA, this is the correct time to be virtue signaling? I mean, hell, I hope you go through with it. Because honestly, at this point, I think the only way to salvage CA is to burn it to the ground and let the last 15 developers standing try and rebuild Total War from the ashes, in my humble opinion. He also mentions the great UK energy shortage being brought up as an excuse for increasing costs, which is also bullshit, which he explains here that there was indeed a time where energy was ludicrously expensive. I know, the family company, we have a lot of heavy-duty machinery as well that was eating up a ludicrous quantity of money in energy bills. But most of this has actually subsided to the point that now there are even times in Norway where you are being paid to use electricity because we are producing a lot of it. The energy scare that Putin used to try and rattle Europe never really arrived, but we did react to it and have started building up our own energy reserves to the point where this isn't going to be much of a problem. And for a company like Creative Assembly, I guarantee you, they were already in long-term contracts with energy providers. They wouldn't have had fluctuating rates for the simple reason that they would have no idea what they're paying today contra tomorrow. An actual company can't really afford those kind of fluctuations for long. At the end of the day, like I said before, I didn't really care about the DLC if I didn't like the price. If CA had come out and said we think it's worth $25 because we believe it's a value, fair enough. I wouldn't agree, but that's up to them to price the product and carry on their business. But to come out with a measly excuse that says we're increasing prices because of costs speaks to me as if they have no faith in their products and want to bullshit us into accepting less content for higher prices, and says a lot about how they want to conduct business in the future. Correct, because they are lying. Again, for the umpteenth billionth time, Creative Assembly are very, very, very bad people. It's about the most I can get away with on YouTube these days, even if my own feelings are perhaps a bit more vehement on the matter. They are lying, there's no doubt about it. And even if they weren't lying, again, they have 800 people's worth of fat to fire before they start increasing costs on less product. And here's the thing as well. Customers are willing to pay more 4 more, as the Chaos Dwarf DLC very clearly demonstrated. The Chaos Dwarf English DLC was like $30. So what was the reason why I wasn't going to touch it until somebody literally bought it for me? I was like, okay, play it. I'm like, okay, fine, fair enough. And it was very good. In fact, it set a brand new standard for all other factions to the point where now, why would you play any other factions? The Chaos Dwarves are overloaded with mechanics. They've got all kinds of cool shit. They've got slavery, they've got a representative democracy sort of system, they've got special rules, special abilities, assloads of awesome units. They're great. And for that, for $30, okay, initially that sounds way too pricey, right? Considering they've been selling previous faction packs for like, was it 20, 25 or so, or 18 or less, and with the, of course, $60 DLC packs, oh, I'm sorry, Total War Warhammer 2 and 3, being $60 for 4 factions, well, you know, this is expensive, it's twice the cost, right? Yeah, but it's quality. And if CAA had at least had the barest minimum of faith in the community, the barest, not even faith, the barest minimum of common decency, they would have come out first and gone, okay, you know, we've got to increase prices, you know, here are our reasons, we're sorry, but we got to do it, it's a business reality. People would probably still call out their bullshit, because it is, but at least then they would consult the community. But instead, no, they do what CA always does. They try the predatory shit, and only if and when they are stopped do they go, oh, you didn't like that? Oh, we had no idea. How could we possibly know that Rome Total War was completely broken on launch? How could we know that Empire was? Silly willies. And then, of course, the veiled threat on top of it all. The whole, well, you know, if we don't increase prices, we can't possibly support the game anymore. Like you're supporting it already. Patching already takes ages. Basic bug fixes, I mean, there are bugs from Total War Warhammer 1 still in the game, goddammit. You can't really threaten to take away something you already aren't providing, you know? And the worst part of it all, the worst part is that probably this is the CA formula. They'll do something shitty, and now they're going to put in a bit extra work on the next DLC. It'll come out, it'll actually be good, or the next game or whatever, and people will go like, oh, everything's forgiven. Because this is something that CA does and has done very well. They will piss everyone off by doing something incredibly scummy, then they'll do their job for a little bit, and the creative assembly fan community will forgive them. I have seen it like 4 times now, have I seen this cycle completed. Every time the same story, because CA seems to always be able to regain the faith they squander, even whilst continuously doing shitter and shitter things, to the point that today, of course, what was once an expansion pack like Total War Warhammer Medieval 2 Kingdoms, which was enormous, is sold today as 5 pieces of DLC. And not even that. Even if you take all of the, if you take Total War Warhammer 2 and all of the DLC combined, you still wouldn't have the equivalent, not even close to the equivalent, of Kingdoms. In fact, you'd probably rival 1 out of 4 campaigns in Kingdoms. That's how far Creative Assembly has fallen, and they've done so by cutting the community 1,000 times. And then it's just shallow cuts. Just, a little bit. Oh, did that hurt? Oh, we're very sorry. Here, have a Band-Aid. Oh, we're very sorry, Band-Aid. Again and again. I hope and pray this will be the last time, because I'm looking at Total War Pharaoh and I'm not very optimistic. And frankly, another big fat torpedo to CA's broadside is precisely what Total War needs. Because again, I say burn it all to the ground and see what rises from the ashes. Anyways, you may delete the post now, CA. I know you're twitching and aching to do so, as I also of course know that you only tolerate things that are positive to you, including PR and even collaborators and people you work with. I know that you're a company that wants a bit of an iron grip on any and all publicity because, well, you contacted me initially before I told you that I wouldn't lie for you, and once I told you that, no more contact. Weird how that tends to work out, eh? Honest souls do not work with Creative Assembly. And with all that being said, thank you all very much for watching, and I hope to see you all again soon. Till then, have a good day.